Hi, and welcome to Feasting on Fanfare Bento Aureo. You know, part 4 is one of my favorite parts of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and Tonio has got to be one of my favorite characters. Not a major character, but he's a cool character with a cool stand and so many recipes to try. Today we're working on pasta puttanesca. It's a really simple dish, really economical, really satisfying, and as a pasta lover and carbivore, you know I'm all about that. Now, I don't recommend punching the spaghetti. That is not a necessary step for this. However, it's easy to make and easier to eat. Let's try it.
For those uninitiated to the sheer nonsense of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, strap in because this will get weird. Also, there are spoilers, so be aware of that. Tonio in part 4 of JoJo, Diamond is Unbreakable, is the chef and purveyor of the Trattoria Trussardi in the town of Aureo. His mission in life is to use his cooking skills, his vast knowledge of ingredients and healing properties, and his musical reference / magic ghost Pearl Jam to heal the ailments of his customers with individualized meal plans that offer both delicious flavor and a scary efficiency in the healing department. One of Tonio's best known dishes is the delectable puttanesca. The ingredients are inexpensive, the process is simple, and the taste, well, while it might not give you regrowing teeth, the home version is still pretty dang good. So let's have a look at what we got going on here. Puttanesca is usually a pasta sauce or topping that is tomato-based but also heavily features olives, anchovies, and other flavors. Now, some of those might not be your favorite things, but trust me on this, it's still worth a shot. Also, I'm using spaghetti to keep this accurate to JoJo, but this works great with other pastas as well. My personal favorite is long fusilli, but whatever you have is probably going to work really well, and I suggest you try it. First, we're going to start out by prepping our ingredients. Now, with puttanesca, many people will use just canned tomatoes and some people will use just fresh. I like to use both, that way I can get that nice texture of fresh tomatoes, as well as the texture of tomatoes that have been cooking for a long time. Here I've got some wonderful cherry tomatoes that I'm splitting in half. For this recipe, I'm going to go for about a cup to a cup and a half of split cherry tomatoes. We also have to prep our olives. And I'll level with you, I normally hate olives. I want to like them, I just don't. So, when I decided to learn this recipe, I made it a personal mission to find an olive that I could love. I went to a grocery store that had an olive bar, I asked a very patient salesperson for help, and I tried every single olive they had to try and find the perfect olive hater's olive. And so I present to you the oil-cured olive. It has a beautiful meaty flavor that isn't too briny, and it's so un-olivey, while still being olivey, that I sometimes like to eat them on their own. Me! Even better, my grocery store sells them without pits. You'll still want to be careful and cut them into rings, just to be sure that there's no teeth-breaking surprises in there. Now, for all you folks who like olives, awesome. I envy you. You have a world of options open to you, and any black olive that you like will do the job beautifully. Calamatas are very popular and very accessible, but in an absolute pinch, you can even use the canned black olives. You do you. Now, I like the oil-cured ones so much that I'm actually going olive forward with this recipe, and using somewhere between 3/4 to 1 cup of these little dudes. If you want to back off a little bit from that, that is perfectly fine. Once we're happy with our pile of chopped olives and our sliced tomatoes, we can go ahead and get this party started. We're starting off with a nice big drizzle, maybe a couple tablespoons of olive oil, and a pinch of chili flake. We also have 2 or 3 good anchovy fillets in there, and we're just going to heat that up and break them down. Now, don't worry about the anchovies, it's not going to make everything taste fishy. It's going to make everything taste savory, and that is definitely something we want. Keeping this on a low to medium-low heat, we're adding our garlic. This is about a tablespoon of garlic. If you're using the jar stuff, you do want to use more, but we're going to cook this at a low and slow sort of heat while everything gets nice and aromatic. Once the garlic smells heavenly and all the anchovy has been broken down, we're going to start adding the fresh tomatoes and the olives. We are also going to be using canned tomatoes as well, but more on that in a minute. Now, I used halved cherry tomatoes because that's what I had on hand and because I like the way they look in the final dish. Also, Tonio's recipe does specify small tomatoes. If you have larger tomatoes that you want to dice up, that is so good. Do it. I recommend it. But at any rate, we're going to let this cook for a good few minutes on medium to let the juices sweat out and concentrate. This is as good a time as any to season with salt and pepper. Yes, the anchovies and the olives do have salty and salt-adjacent flavors, but I'm a traditionalist. Besides, Tonio says to use salt and pepper and he seems to know what he's doing. This is also a really good time to get some salty water boiling so that you can make your pasta. After maybe 5 or 10 minutes of cooking with occasional stirring, we should be about ready for the canned tomatoes. Now, you can make this with just canned tomatoes if that's what you have on hand or that's what you feel like, but I personally like the harmony of flavors that comes with using both the fresh and the canned. Here, I'm just using 1 small can of diced tomatoes. No extra herbs, no extra salt, no extra anything. Now almost all the work is done. We just have to let it cook on medium to medium-low, stirring occasionally until it's done. At this point, it's really hard to overcook. We want this to have a nice, thick consistency while still qualifying as a sauce. And it can just ride, again, stirring occasionally, until we've cooked our pasta. It's fine to toss fully cooked al dente pasta in with the sauce and mix it up real good right now, but what I prefer to do is undercook the pasta by about half a minute and let it finish after I've already added it into the sauce. That way, the flavor not only coats the pasta, but that saucy goodness starts seeping into it. At this point, all that's left to do is to serve it up. Make sure you get that lovely topping as well as the noodles, and garnish with a liberal sprinkle of fresh chopped parsley and as much Parmesan as your little heart desires. And there you have it, a simple, delicious, budget-friendly, health-friendly pasta that is going to be good for any occasion. I really recommend you try this, but don't take my word for it. Let's get some opinions.
Now that we know how easy it is to make, let's see how it tastes. We have my friends Brennan and Jim, who are giving me the wonderful gift of their opinions. Hopefully, well, gentlemen, at your forks.
Has a very complex flavor. I haven't had this before. I'm trying to. And there's a lot of individual ingredients. Making sure you get all of them is important.
It has a very good freshness to it because that comes from the tomatoes.
I use a mix of canned and fresh tomatoes just for that little extra snap.
I don't think I've had pasta with olives that have been so present.
It is very olive forward.
Very olive forward, yeah. But I like it. I think it's a nice difference to from what I'm used to.
I also prefer the oil cured olives rather, because they're less olivey, but in a good way. Making this very accessible for people who don't really like olives that much.
The last time I had an olive was in Hawaii.
Well, that's a different video.
Maybe come back for that one.
I'll keep you posted, especially if I find some way to make that into a dessert. Now that's more of an appetizer. Different video. Well, I'm getting that it meets with your approval.
Very good.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you guys go ahead and finish your meal. So, it's easy, it's simple, it's approved. Why don't you go ahead and give it a shot at your own home? Play around with the flavors. See if you prefer all fresh or different olives. Give it a shot. In any case, play with your food, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.